Hello ladies, gentlemen, and gingies, and welcome to the Beginner's Guide. This is a game that I've wanted to play for a while. It's similar to the Stanley Parable, which I have not played, but I have seen a little bit of that, and I'm also going to play that soon. But I'm looking forward to this game because I've heard it's really good, like really good. So, I have high hopes. Hopefully I'm not disappointed. I don't know. It looks cool though. I mean, it sounds good so far. Please make sure audio is on. I would hope so. I really hope audio is on for multiple reasons. Also, I just had some red drink, and...
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Okay, there's no subtitles on, first of all. Also, before I was rudely interrupted. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I had red drink, so my lips are like cherry red right now, so I know. Pretty amazing. So I look like more of an idiot than before, than all the time stuff. So, my apologies. Also, I don't know if I should have played the Stanley Parable first because he talked about the Stanley Parable, so it'll be alright, it'll be alright.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly It's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves.
That yellow one?
I want to get to know
yes.
who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Every game has a jump mechanic.
So,
Every
it's
good
2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Cool. Yep, I feel like this happens a lot to game designers. Just like making a game and then just not putting it up because it's just a lot of unfinished things. Huh.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
There's the closed captioning. Well, I can't go that way. Nice job, me. Oh, nice. Excuse me. Wow.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form.
Is that Coda's voice?
It
I
kind of
almost
looks like
ran
this
right into
game
that.
was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately, we don't really know.
look.
Maybe Coda
cool.
thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are,
Nah.
rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
Oh my goodness, I'm stupid. I was like, oh, okay, you just get to this room.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Nice. That's amazing. This is an interesting game so far. I can't say I've played
Apparently,
anything
the space
like it.
station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no
Why
reason
not?
for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
I just... Are you kidding me? I just made it.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Okay. Is this the whisper machine?
You there, in the engine room. You
kidding?
could save us
There's a
all.
fly in here.
That beam is powering the whisper machine.
Almost
We
hit
could
him.
disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for
I'm
all of
gonna
our
die.
lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Wow. This is an interesting pillar. Sure, why not? Oh.
Let me pause here for a second.
That
What you
is-
just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Whoa. Whoa. That is cool.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Still November 2008. Huh, this is nice. Okay, I can't move. Oh, I can move,
Yep,
but only backwards.
in this game you can only walk backwards.
Past was behind her. Interesting, and the song is in backwards. In backwards, like it's a different language. Oh.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
This guy talk fancy. I can't understand half of what he says. When she stops and looks, it becomes clear. This is like a metaphor for life right here. But if the future is always behind her, how would she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that.
Interesting.
Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
You are now entering. Uh-huh.
And that's it.
Oh.
Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Okay. I'm trusting you right now. December 2000.
Oftentimes, Coda would put
nearly
bizarre
every
titles
March.
like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Oh.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Hack to the game. We're into the mainframe. And it's a little lobby. Stand on an X, staring at a bear for 3 hours. Whoa. You run a shot inside your body, something your organs strategically doing.
A room that's warm and nice
Game
and filled with little ideas for games.
Live on a boat taking orders from the captain. The captain is always wrong.
Coda
game
would
I've
often tell
only
me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Till you realize you can just walk through walls. He plays a loud, bodiless sound, walking around confusing people. That's basically my life. You know, when I actually do talk. Nice wooden stairs. What happened to wooden stairs? I mean, yes,
Well, this is
they're
new
creaky,
for Coda.
but
It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Alright. This is gonna be tough, but I think... Oh, there we go. Oh, there's more to it. Do I die in here or something? So there's like a mist. Oh. This could be bad. Oh, hey, that's cool.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon.
Okay.
We're gonna see it a lot.
So like a dice or something? It looks like if you were to make a square around that, it would be 3 on the dice. I don't know why that came into my head, but it did. I like the little orange beams. It looks like he likes to put a lot of effort into the looks, because this is a nice looking room. Look, he's got like lights up there. It looks really nice, actually.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Interesting. Oh, wow. This is a lot. So why did I...
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
enter doesn't do anything else. What is my role? I don't know. Oh, here we go again. You are now entering exit.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
March. So the last one was January. It's 2 months now, so 1. The Great and Lonely Desert. I could have just read that wrong. I'm not sure if I did or not, though.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly.
Gotcha.
One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Can I go to the bathroom?
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
It's like a nothing staircase. Can I? Hey, I can't. There's nothing in that door. Okay. Huh. So it's a platformer, right? You jump to get to the next platform. So what if I just... Should we do something out of the ordinary? Heck yeah, we should. Oh, wait. Oh, there's a sliding mechanic. Is this a horror game? Played too many of those already. Now every game's a horror game. What is the creaking? I mean, I like it. Uh-oh. I think it is, actually. Just look behind you and there's something chasing you. Oh, okay. I think I'm supposed to go this way. Oh, okay. And the ceiling rises.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine with that.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
This guy needs to drink some water, I think. just an observation. Maybe I need to drink some water. Red water. Therefore, making my lips even redder. It's a vicious cycle. Interesting. Here's the dice again. Ah, I got 3. Don't know what that means.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
What is this miss? What is this miss? Did somebody, like, fart in here or something? This is just a lot of built-up farts, isn't it? Beautiful. Beautiful.
There's still no clear
Nothing better than
indication
ghost
of what
farts.
makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Okay. Interesting. You there? Did you
Here,
come from
Coda
above?
begins using a kind of
What was up
dialogue
there?
system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat
There's a world
capabilities.
stamped with
Use the
whiteness.
1, 2,
Yes,
3 buttons on your
prison.
keyboard to respond.
I spent hours in. Where yes, there was these floating colored blocks. It was in a prison. That's the world above? You've been there? Now this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did. That was literally the last thing I did before coming here. No, I don't remember having to go through any puzzle. Prefer not to tell you. After all, we only just met. That's a little personal, dude. No, I'm just... Again, perfect. Now please tell us how you solved it. Tell us the solution. I'm not gonna tell the solution. That's cheating. I don't remember how I solved it, but I'm trying to remember, but I can't. I didn't solve it, someone else let me in. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. What if I just say this? You didn't solve it? So you've learned nothing. You cannot help us escape this prison. You are not the one I need. Surely there will be somebody else. Metaphor for life. Can't just go around doing what other people tell you. Okay. And there's more people.